We always start these Q&As laughing, and no one's going to know why.
I don't know why.
A lot happened in the last minute.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Q&A,
And you'll
guys.
never know.
Today we're joined by Matt Kay,
Hi.
Mod Kieran,
Hello.
Mod John C,
Hello.
Mod Ash,
Hi.
and myself, Mod Archie. So before we get into the questions today, does anybody feel like running through today's updates?
Yeah, one of us does.
Sure.
Who'd like to do it?
Cool.
Okay,
Go.
so today's headline update was the Lizard Shaman in the Chesian battlefield, and they obviously dropped the Dragon Warhammer, which I think we've had, how many? I've not been at my desk for a couple of hours,
I'm not sure exactly how many.
but we've seen quite a few traded.
Not too many.
Yeah,
Because it's got a pretty damn rare drop rate. So.
It's still very expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. It's very useful. But don't panic, sell your bludgeons. As I saw someone selling, they've got very, very different stats. What else did we launch today? We changed the mining rocks back to the old, like 12 poly triangles.
Craig has them if you love those 12 poly triangles in the chat.
They do look awesome.
And the Wyvern Cave.
Of course, yeah, the Wyvern Cave extension.
There used to be 8 Wyverns in the game, now there are an extra 14, taking us to 22 in total. The extra 14 are task only, so if you're on task, you've got a rather better chance now of getting a Wyvern to play with.
And there was some other stuff and things in the patch notes that I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry.
If you're interested in that homepage, there you have it. But yeah, the big one being the Lizard Shaman and Dragon Warhammer.
Cool.
Can I ask how long we've had this background?
It was finished end of last week.
Cool.
When they finished making it.
I think it looks fantastic.
Just
Like the way
looking
they've used the lighting over here.
Yeah.
To,
Let's see if the
accentuate your
chat
features.
knows.
I only just realised what it was.
One day you'll be a weatherman.
Let's see if does the chat. Do you guys know what the background is? Can you figure that out? We'll see. Okay.
Yes, I'm sure they'll say.
It's sunny in between John and Kieran.
It does look pretty good.
it's cloudy with a chance of meatballs over Chris.
I'm looking.
And it's raining memes
It's a
over
movie,
Matt.
Ash.
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah, there you go. First person. That's well done.
Yeah,
All right,
you
let's
go.
do the questions. So, how much did the first Dragon Warhammer sell for? Do we have that?
No, I checked
80,
the
I
trade
think, wasn't
track
it?
and
I could
there's
pick a
nothing on
number.
there.
I saw one go at 80 million. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's the
I've
first
seen
one.
one go for 120. I've seen one go for about 101.
There's
Well,
one,
it
there's
has
one
it, the
in
first one was 150.
There's one in the GE for 150 that was up for sale. Nobody had a bid close to it. It could still be there for all I know. But I think the way our trade track worked with the new item, it probably won't update for the new item until tomorrow.
Ah, it makes sense.
So we can't see, because I've been trying to update it all day and it's not been showing anything. So I guess it won't update that until tomorrow.
One thing we do know is that one person, very early on, one person had the first two
Yeah.
in his possession.
One
I-
person bought both of
I
them.
don't know what he paid for them, but he had them listed in the GE at some rather ridiculous prices.
Yeah.
He's playing the game right.
Well, I don't know if they sold, so he might have ended up losing a lot of money.
Yeah, I think at the moment they're going for like 70, 80 mil.
It's
So,
like Ian paid 120.
There you go.
yeah.
I always find it crazy how much people pay on day of release. Because everyone knows it's obviously not going to stay this high.
Yeah.
But every item release, and
And yet that's the fun, because it means people do want to rush in and get the thing first so that they can
Yeah.
sell it for these crazy prices.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what it's all about.
Especially, the streamers, you've seen them all day today. They've been getting one going PKing with it. So that's
Yeah.
the way they want to get hold of it, so they can get people watching
Yeah.
their streams. And I think when we left, we were 6th in the most watched games at the moment, which is pretty good. And probably more, if there's probably another few thousand people watching all of a sudden. So
And no one's going to tell me it's not old school, because I remember when the Dark Bow came out and this exact thing happening, but instead of it being streamed, it was just
Yeah.
people talking about it in clan
yeah,
chat.
absolutely,
Remember
absolutely.
the Dragon Claws? That was crazy.
Yes, there are many crazy things about that.
Don't think we'll quite be able to ever replicate that, unfortunately. Anyways.
We're 9th now.
no, that's what I suggested
There we go.
for Abyssal
What's that?
fingertips.
We're 9th in the
Okay.
things. Never mind.
Staying on the topic of the Dragon Warhammer, one thing I was more curious of was this question coming in. State King asks, thoughts on how strong the Dragon Warhammer is currently at the Duel Arena? With its defense draining, it's better than the DDS.
Now, there's a great thread on Reddit, which I think it was Wooks put up,
Yeah, was
it
talking
Wooks?
about, well, it said Wooks Solo
There's all
is
of
the
the
name.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's him. And he's done some sort of code thing to run a million tests to see what the chances are of winning against the DDS. And I think it was DDS, you'd win 53% of the time,
Yeah,
and the
right.
Dragon Warhammer, you'd win 47% of the time, or thereabouts.
However,
So,
as Ian, I was watching Ian Spam stream earlier, was switching in the Hasta, which gives you the defense bonus. So if you can equip that, obviously, while he hits you, it gave you the ever so slight advantage of like 50.8% or something like that. But reasonably to say, it's very, very, very balanced. in comparison to the DDS. So you don't necessarily have a new best staking weapon.
You just have an
but
alternative.
you probably could use it if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Pretty cool. Okay. Not PK1337 asks, why is the lizard boss in multi?
They kind of work a lot better that way due to the way they hit multiple players at the same time, and also not really bosses. But while we could add an extra one in a single way area and remove all its multi-target attacks, that's really quite a big change to it if it doesn't do those things. And for all those Iron Men out there who reasonably want to get in and can't get a look at the thing just at the moment, yeah, after a while the initial rush is going to fade when people aren't asking 150 mil for the item perhaps, and we hope you'll have a better chance then. If not, then yeah, we can start looking at other ways of adding these things to the game elsewhere.
Yeah.
After all, Zay is a fairly big continent. We've only scratched one side of it so far, and I'm sure we can find another place to stick lizardmen shamans if we need to.
What did you think about anybody requesting removing cannons from being allowed there? Because they seem to be quite effective.
It's funny that we added this new Wyvern expansion, right, and we didn't allow cannons in there, and it's all why do you hate cannons? Why are cannons being discriminated against? Why don't you ever cater to people with cannons?
Yeah.
So I completely understand that people also find that we cater to cannons far too much at the same time.
Yeah.
Can't win seems to be the phrase there, I think.
I think, as Ash said earlier, it's not a lizard boss. It's just kind of a bigger, more difficult lizard man.
I think Kieran called it nicely when you compared them to the battlefield, Dwarven battlefield.
Yes, the Dwarven battlefield where you got the dragon pickaxe on the other game. With I think it's the Chaos Dwargers and the Chaos hand cannoneers.
I kind of thought of them as the more difficult Cyclops.
Oh yeah, that's a good comparison as well.
Yeah.
Anyways, they're not a boss, so you know.
They're level 150. Now that's arguably a bit low because they've got a whole lot of weird attacks on them that make them a lot more challenging than your standard level 150 kind of thing might be. But well, we could adjust it, but I don't think that's really a problem for people. They know what they do by now. And the combat, adapting a combat level to take into account that the thing jumps in the air and sits in your face is probably not a number we can come up with.
How clutch was that attack style? I swear it was just yesterday we were talking about possibly doing that jumping attack. And day after it's already in the game and looks awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Alfie liked it, said it was quite easy to animate because the thing just goes up and then later comes back down again. That's not hard for him to animate.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that hard for me to implement either.
Yeah. Cool. Alrighty then. Oopsie asks, what was the point of that change to runecrafting on Zaya earlier today? A couple people not too happy with getting as much XP per hour.
I suppose, I mean, the feedback we had from players, I mean, from many players, was that it was very AFK, and it was very AFK. The original blog said you're going to put some effort into it, so we've sort of done a halfway house more than anything, haven't we? So you can't sit there, go away, make a bacon sandwich, come back, and you're just finishing it off, and then you run off to do your rune crafting. So you have to put some effort into it, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clicks in 2.5 minutes is not really that hard work. We are getting feedback right now that the XP rates are changed. We want to leave it over the weekend. Because so far we've seen XP rates of 38,000 an hour go up to 43,000 an hour. So let's leave it over the weekend, see if it gets any higher. And if we need to change it after the weekend, we can do that. Get it back to what we said in the dev blog. So it's just a little bit more clicking, and you guys are used to clicking.
You appreciate we can't just go with the first XP rate from the first person to post about it after the update, because people do seem to have sped up a bit. In fact, one player sent me 2 different numbers based on how familiar he was with it.
Exactly.
Also, you might find, since it's depleting at a rate that depends on your mining level, so a mining level is actually quite advantageous here, something that it wasn't so much before.
That's cool. All right.
But I mean, long term it'll be the same XP rates.
We're waiting for data.
Yeah, waiting for data.
All right. Read it asks, would it be possible to repull the Wines of Zamorak spell, asking for more info on the runes to be used and suggesting 90 plus mage to be required. So
I would very much like to repull that one, because I think we pull it with a fairly low magic requirement, and I think that's probably the main concern, the fact that it would probably be too powerful as a spell. So I think with a higher magic requirement and some info on the rune cost.
I would like that thing to eat runes,
Yes.
Yeah.
and that it would turn not very useful wine into Wine of Zamorak.
Yeah.
I would like it to seriously eat your rune stack when it does it.
Yes.
Cool.
It's also linking very well with the grape farming that we'll have on Hesidius at some point soon.
Oh, that's true.
Might be hinting at soon to come, fingers crossed, repoll poll.
Potentially, yeah.
Poll to repoll polls that didn't pass.
In particular, I'd like
Fair
to
enough.
reopen the topic of the abstain option for it.
Yeah, we need to get that in the next
Yes.
poll, don't we, really?
I think so.
Yeah.
This time, perhaps not using the word abstain, because we rather assumed that back then that everyone knew what the word meant, and that may not have been the case.
Yes.
But also, at the time, when we polled it in the before, we said that if it passed, we'd have to remove the website voting form. And not everyone wanted that, because like 10% of people still did vote through the website in those days. So now that's come through on a different poll question. It doesn't have the kicker attached to it anymore.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I'd say the abstain option's got a better chance of passing than it did back
We
then.
could put a poll it as you don't have to answer every question.
Skip question, yeah.
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 I'd love to have that for next week's poll.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Fingers crossed.
Could do that. Not a
Cool.
problem.
End of the Dream asks, could the Abyssal Sire be given a 50% increase in Slayer XP? He says, regular Abyssal Demons are over 30k Slayer XP an hour with good profit, so the Sire is barely worth doing considering how slow it is to kill.
I would say its drops kind of balance off the XP rates. That's why we have the Slayer bosses.
Yep.
You're giving up your XP, you get the chance of some of those ridiculously expensive drops.
You got the dagger and the bludgeon and whatnot.
On the other hand, with creatures, the amount of Slayer XP they give depends on the number of hit points they've got, give or take. And for the Calphite Queen and Vetian, we changed it to count damage done to both forms. Now, the Abyssal Sire doesn't really have forms in the same way. That thing, well, goes for a walkie around the room and turns into all manner of stuff, and it's got lungs. If we were to account some extra Slayer XP, taking into account the number of lungs it's got, and maybe adding a little extra for the way it regenerates in between the lungs, not necessarily the amount of damage you did, otherwise you'd just sit there splashing on the thing, hitting ones and twos forever, and then try and get level 99 Slayer in one final hit. But we could account a little extra Slayer XP for the other things you've got to do in it.
That sounds like a good idea. Like that.
Yeah, that's
Makes
fair.
sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um,
But the bosses aren't really intended to be your best Slayer method for XP anyway.
That would be an awkward way of trying to do an Abyssal Demon task if you wanted to kill hundreds of those and everyone else did too.
Okay. Guy asks, when will we see more Deadman servers reverted back to normal worlds?
I only
few
got
hours
3
ago.
left.
3 went today.
Yeah.
3
So-
went today. There you
Yeah.
go.
So I only got 3 left.
End of the Dream asks, once a week, could you stream a boss league? The bosses would fight each other in 1 versus 1s to find out who the toughest monster in the game is.
We've discussed this
Yeah,
there's
there's a
over the
Jira
years.
job
kind
in.
of had that idea.
Yeah,
a
there's a
long time
Jira job
now.
in for it, isn't there? Which,
There is.
Jira's the project management software we use. It's really unexciting.
Thing is, it's a cool series for like a stream or a video, but does it take priority over some of the content?
It would take quite a bit of time to adapt a given boss to be able to do all its things against another NPC, because they're all programmed to do things to players. Teaching them to do it against NPC is, well, kind of rewriting all their code. And also the other NPC would have to know how to handle it. Programming some NPC in the game to kill the sire is something that it's not hard to do. I could just spend all day doing it. And I could have spent all that day doing something else that you asked for instead. So I don't think that would be a good use of time.
No.
Now, transmogrifying, say, Chris into the Wise Old Man and sending him to go and kill the sire, that we can do.
Yeah, I'm just more eager to find out like Corp versus Jad or like Vedian versus, I don't know, Cerberus.
It'd make a fun video,
Make
but
a
I'd rather
really
do the
fun
gameplay stuff.
We could just write a piece of script that would calculate who would win.
That's no fun. You don't get to watch the fight.
Just
Make
You
a
saying.
can
good
watch
video.
the maths.
Yeah.
The winner is pudding.
I like numbers. I find that quite interesting.
On a similar topic, I would quite like a boss fight where you go in and fight all 4 of the God Wars generals and their minions at once.
We could go and do that in the Clan Cup fairly easily. 'Cause
Yeah.
We've already got all 4 of the generals, so adding in the minions wouldn't be that hard. They don't do so much. And then we could just shove the whole
Yeah.
lot on you all at once is a nice surprise.
Someone popped in the chat there. Dragon Warhammer drop rate.
Not going to be revealed for at least a month.
Yeah.
Super rare.
It's around 1 in 100 million trillion, I think, isn't it? Something like
Not quite, but no, we don't like revealing drop rates because it affects the market, and so we'll give it a month or so and revisit it then.
Another topic of Abyssal Sire, we will be noting those unnoted rune drops for next week. So
Thank you.
Nice. Cool. Eel asks, can there be a way to talk to someone to see our lizard man kill count?
We're not keeping count of the number of lizard men you kill. For a start, these new shamans, they're really not in the league of bosses like the Corp or even Triara. So we didn't try and turn them into Slayer boss targets or give them a boss kill counter or loop broadcasts. Although we might add a broadcast for the Dragon Warhammer itself, that might go down quite well. And no, we haven't got anything that's tracking that kind of thing at the moment. Sorry. If they were a Slayer creature, like with a Slayer requirement, then they'd count for the Slayer kill log. But again, they don't have a Slayer requirement either.
Right. That's fair. Chief Iron asks, currently Ranger and Infinity boots can be stored in your player-owned house. Can the upgraded boots, Primordial, Pegasian, and Eternal also be stored in there as well?
They could. I actually wanted to do like an armor suite rooms. It's similar to the costume room, but you store sets of armor and various different things. It didn't actually make my final cut when I came up with the other two rooms that we talked about at RuneFest. Could revisit it if there's a whole lot of desire for it, but there's not any room left in the costume room to add them as they are.
Not as an extra piece of furniture. We may be able to put more in the existing armour case, of course, like we did with shading stuff.
It's true.
I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. It's annoyingly difficult doing stuff with costume rooms.
How about in the garden, have a shoe rack in the garden where you leave your dirty shoes before you go into your house?
It's the same thing. There's no space on any existing
Isn't there? That was that
rooms.
one.
But yeah, it would be
I
like
fancy the idea of a shoe rack.
Yeah.
you could put a shoe rack in the armor.
I'd buy my wife a shoe rack, right? She keeps buying shoes, so I bought a shoe rack which is sort of 3-tiered and it's about this big and fits
Okay.
about 30 pairs of shoes on it. I now find shoes on the floor now and the shoe rack full, so she keeps buying more shoes. And not telling me she's buying shoes, it's terrible. Real
On
life
that
problems.
case story of the day.
Yeah.
All right. Flux asks, so the Magic Cape get a once per day permanent spellbook swap?
It did on launch.
Is it permanent, or I thought it was just...
It was permanent. We changed
Okay.
it to temporary. Actually, did we do that in pre-release? I can't
I don't
remember.
remember us having to do that after launch.
No, I'm
no,
not.
that was pre-release.
Yeah, it was Ronan that raised it. You would have to poll it if we were going to do a change like that, but the code's there.
But you're open to it, but yeah, the pool.
I don't have any balancing concerns over it, but it's not what we initially offered, so we went with it being a single spell.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Boulder asks, could we please have more players given PMod status simply for muting GE spam bot? I think this is asked every week.
There is actually, I was talking to Ronan about it. We need to, I'll talk to Ronan and to Weath about the best way to target the spammers. PMods will make a difference, but currently their mute isn't long enough to have much of an impact. I think they have a
That's
2-hour
right.
mute at the moment, so we need to look at how that works. If it was useful, we would get more, but as they stand at the moment, it wouldn't do that much difference. There are a few other things we're trying, which I'm not going to talk about because then they'll know what we're trying, but
Yeah.
we are doing some other stuff.
Yeah.
Weath has been going through a whole spreadsheet for me trying to find out bits and bobs about who's spamming, so we're working on it.
Okay. Hooray for Jay asks, can you give the ability to make teleport tabs for the Zaya teleports?
I thought it's a suggestion for the Necromancy spellbook, actually. So that there'd be a spell and then you'd use the Dark Essence blocks, combining it with the spell to make a tablet. And I like that idea.
Yeah, I like that.
That's pretty cool.
That's really good.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
So maybe that's a different way of doing it rather than doing it via the lectern and the BOH.
We've also got the problem that our lectern's a little full,
Yeah.
whereas scrolls of direction and other features like that, we can do a lot more.
That's one hotspot we might have room on for an upgrade, actually.
Put a shoe rack in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put a shoe rack in your study where a lectern would go.
Yeah, why not? That's where my wife's shoes seem to be ending up these days.
I was pretty sure there is a shoe rack in the POH bedrooms.
Is there?
Isn't there?
Don't-
There's a,
There
shoe
might be.
there's a shoe cupboard or something. You can change your shoes there, or shoe colour there, or something.
I've no
You
idea.
can
I
change
think
your
that's
shoes
just
there.
it's just
That's
the
obviously
dresser where you
well
can change your
used.
ID.
kind
Yeah.
of thing.
You do seem a little bit salty about your wife's shoes.
Yeah. Use them everywhere.
All
Quite
right.
frankly, it annoys me.
Banana asks, will there be new
Separate on
best in slot weapons and armor in the combat batch 2 of Zaya?
Sorry, what was that?
Will there be new best in slot weapons and armor in batch 2 of Zaya?
Potentially.
Talk
If
about
players
raids.
are willing to vote for them.
Yes. And that's the thing. I mean, it seems quite sensible to have the range of mage case
Yeah.
we were talking about coming from there. Seems a sensible thing to have. I mean, what's going through my mind with the raids at the moment is the rewards for it will help you complete the raids more efficiently. So you get armors and things which help with specific bosses and do that sort of thing, which would be quite an interesting way of doing it. But it's all open for debate.
It
Yep.
does
Yet to be
help.
decided.
For what it's worth, that Mod Ghost designed some armour, a set of armour that to be used as reward armour from the raids, quite a while ago now. I don't really know what possessed him to go and do that, but it looks awesome, and I'd like any excuse to go and use it, really.
That'd be cool.
Good idea to gauge the chat for this. Would you like to see tier 80 armor to come with raids? Don't need to straw poll it in. I don't mind. Just
Yeah, straw
curious.
poll it. Yeah, have straw
Sure.
poll. We've got somebody there
Okay.
ready to do a straw poll. Might as well straw
Tier
poll.
80 armor and weapons with raids, and this would be the January batch.
No,
update.
it's
Is
June.
Oh, the June. Okay,
Yeah.
soon then. Jeez, cool.
Well, some yeses in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Keeping in mind we have things like anglerfish now, which help
Yeah.
you stay afloat just a little bit longer.
I don't think we have to necessarily go that high.
When you think of tier 80 weapons, do you think of chaotics?
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
of like
And
that's-
that jump was too much. If
it was a
we're gonna
big jump.
if we're gonna do T80 weapons, it won't be that much of a power creep all at once. I think we've got a lot of scope for some newer high level armors, especially with the amount of power that we've added over the last 3 years. It's only been tiny bits here and there, but it does add up. That's my
There's
concern.
room for higher tier magic armor
Definitely.
because we have the God Wars gear for range and melee, but nothing for magic.
Do you think we're already at 75? Like,
But when we're talking about like higher tier armors as well, I think we're more on the defensive side is where we need something rather than on a power side. Like Bandos is currently best in slot for offense, and I don't think that will change.
It's interesting, isn't it?
got the results there. Would you like to see tier 80 armor and weapons with raids in June? And that's about 53%.
That's a good baseline to go because they've got no info on what the stats they'd have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But I mean, of course, as well, it's all open to suggestion. If
Yeah.
you've got ideas of what rewards you'd like to see from raids,
Tier 79, that's it.
The thing is,
probably
like,
in full knowledge that it'll probably be the most difficult PVM, regular PVM fight in
Yeah,
RuneScape.
absolutely.
You say tier 78 was a thing.
Yes, actually. Wasn't that where we put Ganadermic?
I don't know where Gano
Oh,
was,
no,
but
that was-
PvP armors.
I hate that Gano.
Well, if we want, you know, it to pass, it's obviously tier 73 armor that we're looking for.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
There you go. See, somebody else said it.
When I think of tier 80 weapons and armor, I think of like PKing with it in the wilderness, and that sounded like a lot of fun. But I don't take into I didn't take into consideration that also makes every boss in the game significantly easier. How much easier would Bandos be if you had tier 80 armor and weapons versus the typical what we have right now? There's a lot to account for. So
I mean, that's why we could be quite clever about it. That's why I like the idea of, you know, having it so that the armor you get helps you complete the raid quicker, so that you can, so that we can measure the effectiveness and not impact the rest of the game.
yeah.
And you know, there's probably other things we can do to stop that from hitting other PVM arenas.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
sure.
Let's see here. Catherby asks, could we have a quality of life buff to the mage training arena, specifically the telekinetics section? Currently you can't move once you telegrab the statue towards you. It'd be nice to preemptively move to the next section of the puzzle.
I think we can remove those delays safely.
Have to just make sure what happens if you start trying to cast a spell on the thing while it's still moving, or or when it's not in a finished state. Because that's a lot more possible interactions to take account of. But I expect we can find a way of doing it.
Just can't quite commit to it.
A
without
lot of
looking
yeses
at
in the chat.
It's definitely worth
Well, of
looking
course,
at.
it's a nice thing to do, but I can't guarantee it.
Okay. Yeppers asks, can we continue from wave 63 to keep fighting, and at the end you get your fire cape and the new best in slot fire cape of your choosing?
That was a concept we considered with the Inferno in one of its first iterations. It seems that a separate entity is what was more desired.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
been
I
a
mean-
lot of feedback. They want a different cave and a different thing altogether.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, to sort of, we put out the dev blog yesterday. Was it yesterday? Day before? Can't remember. I was just rolling to one
I want to
after
say
a
it was
while.
yesterday.
So we put out the dev blog to ask you guys whether you wanted Jad to now or a cheaper version now or a better version in January, and I think we're going to do a better version in January. I think a few people expect us to poll when we should do it, but polling when we're going to poll something is a bit silly, so I'm not going to do that.
Well, then we should poll when we're going to poll these polls.
Yes, some stuff and polls. So we'll do it in January.
Yep. There you have it. Jad 2.
And in the meantime as well, I think we were talking earlier about loot share we wanted to look at, didn't we, this month?
We
which
really
would
would.
Which would be a very good thing, and then a whole load of quality of life polls in some form or t'other. And that should hopefully make a nice February for you guys and get lots of little bits and bobs out of the way for you.
Okay.
Should be
Also,
good.
maybe worth mentioning, Ash will be on holiday for the next couple of weeks. So you won't see him in the Q&As, don't worry.
Yeah, so
I'll leave the mug behind for them
He'll be
to
back.
play with.
take
Yeah,
your
we'll
screenshots now so you don't miss him.
All right.
But yeah, I am excited for loot share, and we'll definitely be wanting to discuss that with the community and get feedback on how you would exactly want it to work.
Yeah.
So can it all be out by the time I get home, please?
I don't know
Give it a
why,
bash.
but I
All these
thought you were going to
no's
say I'm
and
so
we're going
excited for
holiday.
Ash not being here.
All right. Follow-up question to that, actually. Would Jad 2 have a higher drop rate of the Jad pet?
No, but it was going to have a
It'd be
different boss.
different bet.
Yeah,
Different
it'll be a
pet.
different pet,
Okay.
yeah.
Jad should be its pet.
It's not going to look anything like Chad, so
Okay.
it's a completely different creature.
Cool. Grammy asks, do you have time in February to implement untradables that break? We were speaking about this not too long ago.
Were we?
Yeah, we came to the conclusion maybe it might be best to wait until we have more PK-oriented updates, so it could actually be relevant to the poll.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember saying that. Yeah.
Because right now we've got, well, the Dragon Warhammer is kind of a PvP-ish update, but it's more just the whole game.
So
I think
talking
it
about-
would. I think it would fit nicer with again Zaya 3. Seems like a good time to do it because we've got some PvP stuff with the Colosseum there.
Yeah.
So that might be a time to think about it then.
It's such a major change to some core mechanics, and it would affect a lot of people just
Yeah.
sneaking it in. It's not ideal.
No.
Well, I
Love
think
to
if we
see
just
this one pulled.
dropped it off on a poll along with a whole lot of other quality of life things, I don't see it going anywhere.
Yes,
When
indeed.
if we make that change, you're going to want it in huge red letters across your screen.
Yes, absolutely.
How do people actually feel about untradables in PvP? Because currently when you die, say your fire cape stays on the floor as long as you're in low-level wilderness, and then you can just run back and pick it up. How do people feel about that current situation with Void and everything like that being able to be used?
I don't.
I think it's terrible, and I don't know.
Spoken like a
Personally, I would
true
like to see
PK.
if you use an item in the wilderness to try and kill somebody with, you should be risking that item, whether it's to the person you're going to kill, or to the fact that you're going to need money to buy it back or something.
Yes.
You know, I think that's
If we're going to be
what it boils
biased,
down
I think what this question actually is asking is untradables that break. So
Yeah.
if I'm going out PKing with my full Void, Fire Cape, Dragon Defender, climbing boots, and a Strength Amulet, I'm risking nothing. If I die, I get my broken Void back, which I then go and pay whatever fee it is that we choose is balanced. So I'm actually risking something, and the person that killed me gets that cash, whatever that's worth. So if I got to vote,
to. Yes,
yeah.
that's what I believe should happen.
All right. Homeborn asks, when can we see an upgrade to the Dragon Square shield to protect from Dragonfire?
February quality of life poll.
That's a good one for that. Yeah.
Cool.
I think I already have it put in.
A lot of yeses. Yes. Look at that support, man. Maybe that would pass a poll. No Civ asks, will there be new skilling pets?
I'd like to do another batch because the first batch seems to have gone down really well. Might even get that out in February as well, actually.
Potentially, or boils down to
potentially,
what
yeah.
we've got available.
Yeah.
We've had any number of suggestions of what the pets could be.
We have
Some are great, some are a bit odd.
we have a limited amount of graphics time available over the next few weeks.
We have people wanted a Phoenix for fire making. There's
That-
a question
that
of
would
how people would actually obtain that, whether it's just buy logs and burn them.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
that would be-
viable
Nice.
pet at that point. Right.
But given the drop rates of the others, these would mirror that. You could quite easily get through 200 more fire making and still not have that pair.
We have construction, which would be the chair from Drina Manor.
I would like that, 'cause especially if we've got the animation for it already, and it's awesome.
I would like to do something for crafting as well. I don't know what.
Would these be the first quote-unquote buyable pets then?
Yes.
Okay.
So how do people feel? Like, what skills would you want to see them from?
Well, there's a few out there that aren't so much buyable, like thieving, agility.
I like thieving.
Farming, we've got a lot of mileage to play with.
Yeah.
In the case of farming, I'm not sure what you'd get. A little walking farming patch would be...
It'd be cabbage rolling
I've
over.
got a rate.
after you,
Yeah, it'd be
wouldn't it?
cabbage
That'd be what it'd be.
Yeah. No, that's a terrible
Or
idea.
watermelon rolling over you.
We can always dig out the compost mound NPC graphics if we've still got those in the arc.
Ooh, that we can do.
People saying rune crafting. What would you get for rune crafting? Oh, I had this idea already. The little abyss creatures with the heads that spin around.
Yeah.
Oh yes, the four face, I think they call it.
Yeah.
We got loads of ideas.
But yeah, we'd like to offer them clearly at some point. We'll just have to look at our schedule and see where we can get them in.
What would you get for thieving? Like a lack of money following you around.
A ninja, you've actually already got the thieving pet, you just can't see it.
A swag bag.
I was thinking a mini master farmer.
Mini person doesn't really work, does it? You know.
Sure it does.
That wheelbarrow guy from the dig site.
I would have a monkey following you around for thieving.
That's
Well,
something you
nin-
suggested for agility, in fact.
Yes, yeah, that would probably work for that as well. Some sort of ninja monkey-ish type of, I don't know what they're called, marmosets, they're known for thieving. Or magpies. Magpies
Ooh, yeah,
know
magpie.
as well.
Not everyone from Newcastle is a thief, Matt.
Just a large portion.
Okay. We've got questions.
Have you got evidence to back this claim?
No.
Moving on. Penny asks, can her boxes from Nightmare Zone get a right-click empty option? Currently, you have to spam click them.
Is there an open all?
There's not an open all. Most
Then
definitely have to click through all of them.
Well, no,
And
but
if you get like 100, that's like
We didn't do
half
the
an
thing
hour.
where if you click one, it then does the next one
Yeah,
automatically
it
after
does,
a short
doesn't it?
delay.
You just
Yeah, so you just kind of spam click it. And
Well, instead of doing that, don't, and they'll open.
you just click it once and they'll go out.
I think we did that for them.
If we didn't, well, that's something we
I've written it
frequently
down
do.
anyway, so...
Oh, geez, I
that's
hope
fine.
not. I'm so, clicking so much. All right.
Certainly, I know I've written a lot of things where if you like shop packs, if you click on one of them, then they all open one by one until you've run out of space or something. But
Okay.
if this isn't one of them, then we can certainly do something about it.
Cool. All right. Louis asks, why is the proposed Jad 2 Magic Cape purple instead of blue?
Purple's so much more cool.
Purple is not uncommon as a magic colour, like all the teleport spells we've ever had.
Yeah.
Or the Arceus house.
While we associate red with melee, green with range, and blue with mage, that's not a strict rule. So,
There was an artist who worked for us a long time ago who said that it should be, and he wanted to rework all the melee armour in the game, gradually over improvement projects. He wanted to change it all so it was all red. I did try to introduce him to the idea that there were things like runite and adamant and dragon, and these distinctions shouldn't just be improved out. But thankfully, he never went anywhere with this idea, and it never came up again. But that was one of the weirder things I've had from a colleague.
Okay. JPK asks, can you please prevent people from releasing black chins when being attacked?
We pulled that not long after we released Black
I vaguely
Chins.
remember it, yeah.
And I believe it failed miserably.
Yes.
So no
There you go.
would be the answer. We could re-poll it, but it wasn't close to my
Yeah.
recollection.
It was suggested that we add a "Are you sure?" menu to it to make sure people were really sure they wanted to drop the thing, which would incidentally make it rather hard to do during combat. But sneaking that in and pretending that we didn't realise it was to stop people dropping it during combat might be a little dishonest.
Yeah, it's just a tad.
Yeah.
certainly now you told them.
Oh, who watches those?
Baratho asks, can you add more random trees around Zaya? I feel that would make it seem more full.
Random
Yes.
trees.
Random trees.
Yeah,
It's-
more trees, more bits, more bobs.
I just remember putting down a whole forest of things just south of Piscarius, but okay.
And I want a few more kicking around. I don't know quite, with trees in the Arceus area, shouldn't be dead trees, should they? Or should they be dead trees?
They suit the colour scheme.
Would fit.
Yeah, exactly. They suit the colour scheme, they suit the idea, but it sort of just strikes me as being, they need to be a bit more majestic dead trees. than our normal
Magic,
trees.
dead magic trees.
Dead magic trees, yes.
Let's go with the best ideas in
Write
these
that
streams,
down.
don't we?
Dead magic trees.
You know the kind of sparkly star effect you get on magic trees?
Yeah.
We could make a different coloured version of that.
Yeah.
Purpley stars.
Now, does that count for magic?
This is dangerous thinking, guys.
Yeah, they've got to be blue. Sorry.
Okay. End of ends. Can you add a dynamite store in the Lovaking house unlocked at 100% favor? This would make blast mining more viable for Iron Men because currently it's not worth it compared to motherload mining.
We did talk about that because it was all boiled down to balancing of XP and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know the reward for doing the mini game. I think we just played around with the rewards from the mini game rather than introducing a new shop to do something with, and we've fiddled with that.
Yeah, well, it's balanced as in for a regular player who would just go and buy the dynamite. So since the dynamite's tradable, we don't factor in the time that it actually takes to create the dynamite and get the favour because the player can just buy it. So ultimately, we'd have to make it untradeable or create a different system for how it works, as in you donate the dynamite to the house and then get a different kind of dynamite back to use.
What if you just made really expensive? Like, I don't even know what it's going for on the Grin Exchange, but, you know. So they really have to put in that extra effort. No?
Introducing a different kind of dynamite would probably be the only way to make that one work, where the shop sells you shop-bought dynamite rather than player-made dynamite. You can use it in the blast mine the same way, but the shop charges you a mint for it, and it doesn't count for anything else.
We also like that a player can go and make dynamite, which isn't close to being the fastest way to get the Lava King favour. They can go and do that and make money out of doing it by selling it to people who want to go and use it in the blast mining minigame. So ultimately, it's the design is there to work exactly how it is, and unfortunately, it just doesn't really work for Iron Man.
And we do try not to just cater content for Iron Man.
Yeah. I just saw some guy say my ideas are bad, then another guy said no, they're good, so.
That's all right.
I'm seeing that guy.
We always do consider Iron Man when we design content, but ultimately, if we can't focus it on that just small group of players, when the majority of players are not Iron Man.
Okay. Hero Light asks, where is my 2006 overlay option?
In the post.
Yes, absolutely.
On a blank canvas of script.
We do not have a scheduled date for guaranteeing that particular piece of content, but it's something we would very much like to do. There's also a lot of other things people ask for, and I know I'd rather spend the dev time on loot share before doing the cosmetic thing. What I'm actually going to do is go on holiday for a couple of weeks, so I look forward to seeing what happens by the time I come back.
Maybe if everybody tweets Mod Jed. Alright. Adam asks, could crashing Iron Man, by which he means tagging monsters intentionally just to prevent the drop, be addressed? This is a recent topic because there's an Iron Man who just got a sigil, which is cool, but for an example, it takes him I think he said 40 minutes to solo corp, by which point, during that time, somebody can just come and tap it and go, and therefore it's not his drop. That's the life of an Iron Man.
I think it's an issue.
Yeah. That does seem
It
quite...
is something we deal with. If there are people who deliberately go out to annoy other people, we do have a process for dealing with them. To start with, you've got to tell us who they are, and then we can look at them.
Yeah,
And
evidence
it's just
is
quite
best.
easy for us to spot if they're doing it over and over and over again. It's not a difficult thing to do, and we'll go through a process with them. But tell us who they are, we'll look at them.
And how would you like them to send in these messages?
They could, however they want, tweet, forums, Reddit, whatever.
If you want to send it to me, if you can get any video footage or anything like that, that'd be best. Cool. Okay. Chromosome asks, please do something to address the current prices of Zulrah scales.
I wouldn't be sorry to increase the number of scales you get from the fishing thing.
Yeah.
And also, a while back we polled letting you break down the visage thing and the fangs into more scales. Now, that didn't pass, but a lot of the feedback I got was that they just didn't like the numbers we were offering. So if we maybe came up with some more suitable numbers for them, rather more generous this time perhaps,
Yeah.
that might address two issues.
Okay.
Interested in that in one of the blogs as well coming up.
And you were asking for a repole poll, so we could
Yeah.
repole this in the repole poll.
Love to
Would
see
like
that.
not to go too over the top though, because it was part of the design that over time the prices of the drops themselves go down, and the scales would scale up
Oh yeah.
to keep the costs high for top tier equipment.
Okay.
Makes sense.
But it sounds like less people are going to Zora these days.
I think if the silver items are degradable, it'll just be. I think it'll just be a better balance between the
Yeah,
two.
no, that one I really liked that
Perhaps.
concept. It's a shame it didn't pass, but yeah, we can repole that.
Okay. Oops asks, any chance of releasing a dev kit for community developed content? And this that could be a PDC, essentially.
Not right now. Something I'd love to do allow players to actually dev stuff for us and send it in, but there's all sorts of headaches and nightmares surrounding that, because it ain't going to be an easy thing to do.
I think
But something I'd like to do, but nothing on the horizon.
might be worth mentioning, as cool as some of the Firecape suggestions on Reddit lately have been, many of them are not possible. Like,
You mean the one with the big, massive AK-47s attached to it?
there's one saying, the
That
two
was Jad
lines,
3, to be fair. So,
Oh yeah, it's not even relevant.
the two lines in the Firecape where the animation doesn't line up. We can't do anything about that.
We did that. Alfie and Gareth spent a fair while looking into solving that for the actual fire cape, and
well, we could solve it, but your cape would no longer move with the rest of the human body.
If you have a big plank strapped to your back.
Yeah.
A big burning plank.
And certain animations would look rather peculiar.
Yeah. Okay. Where were we? Let's see. C4 asks, can a drop be added to Vedion's skeletal hellhounds that is a creatively named bone? This bone would be dropped at a very high rate, similar to a pet drop rate. The player could then use the bone on their Hell Puppy from Cerberus, which would give them a metamorphosis option between the Hell Puppy and a skeletal version of the Hell Puppy. Got it.
Nice.
Skeletal help
I like it.
A skeletal Hell Puppy sounds pretty badass.
Does rather, doesn't it?
I actually like that.
Does it make sense to come from Vedion's skeletal hellhounds? Sure, they're skeletal hellhounds.
It does,
That
and
makes sense.
that's the best way to go about it. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool
And
idea.
I feel like the chat agrees with that one.
Yeah, it's almost like a advanced pet, isn't it?
Mm.
Now you have your normal level of pet, and then even more difficult pet to get.
I feel like there should be a bury option on this bone just in case somebody missed
Left
it.
click.
So, yeah. You're like, oh, what's this? Gone.
4 prayer XP.
Yeah.
I think Alfie might like to.
There's
work
a question on that.
skeletal
Is
hellhound.
this bone permanent? So once you use it on your Hell Puppy, do you lose the bone?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you want to get Hell Puppy
Toxic
back,
bones, yeah.
if you want to get Hell Puppy back from the skeletal one,
It's a metamorphosis, so you would just right-click metamorphosis.
so it would unlock it
Yeah.
permanently.
And
Okay.
you could switch between the two. Cool idea. All right.
An option on a puppy for whether or not it has flesh on its skeleton. That's an awesome option for a pet.
Yeah.
You can switch by using a knife on it.
That's terrible. Jesus.
I was going to say feed it less, but okay, that's good too.
I was going to go
also
with the drop is actually a
It is a
piranha.
hellhound, so we don't have to be too sympathetic to it.
Let's just dip it in lava.
Oh, that's
Okay.
actually, that would work, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
A glowing orange
Like a
skeletal
violent.
dog, yes.
The Old School Runescape team does not condone violence to animals.
Good one.
Call Peter.
Okay. You know what? We have a quest where you get a cat, you raise the cat, and then you sell it off for 100 grand. So,
It's all about the profit, bro.
Somebody asked me about that, and I was told by another developer that what they had in mind is, right, those dwarves, they give you stew, right, in the Underground Pass quest, and they've got a death altar down there, and that's where death runes would come from. So up on the surface, there's all these people who are being given cats, and always want more cats, and for some reason they've got death runes. Where they're getting death runes from, well, it's not obvious.
Some of the
But
cat
unless
industry.
those dwarves are hopping up and down to the surface occasionally and exchanging death runes for cats, because that's where the cats must be going and where the death runes must be coming up from. And then you get stew. So
Jeez, he's
maybe
evil.
that's where the cats are going. All those cats you ever sold in West Ardoin throughout your entire RuneScape career, all of them. The stew you get from
terrible
Clan.
people. All you terrible people. Okay.
No one ever said this fantasy was a pleasant fantasy game.
The Old School Runescape team does not condone violence to animals.
All right. Oh man.
Times were tough in medieval times.
Let's move on then.
Just covering our asses.
Throw asks, can you consider changing how splashing works in PvP? Primarily, people can splash on themselves to gather wilderness-only resources with no risk. In PvP worlds, you're not able to PJ either of the accounts.
My preferred approach to that is to make combat interrupt the actions in question.
Sounds like
Yeah.
the best idea.
That sounds like the best solution.
Awesome. Should we remember that one?
Add it to your list.
Try to. Cool. Toucans asks, who put rune warhammers and red d'hide vams on the lizard shaman drop table? I hate you.
Next question.
We're not even sorry.
There we go.
Might as well just give them like a fake dragon warhammer and they pick it up. It's like, lol, JK.
Yeah, if we'd had more time, probably would have come up with a new object.
That's a bit mean.
The red brick.
It could be, you know, a warham, a dragon warham, and it's just a piece of food that you eat.
This is stupid. How many puns have we had today? Like, jeez. All right. iPubs asks, will it ever be possible for us to have multiple stacks of items in our banks, mainly for duo loot tabs?
Pretty unlikely. The engine was never designed to handle there being multiple stacks of something in your inventory or the bank. And if it ever happens by mistake, then a lot of inventory checks get a little bit screwed up.
That would be an entirely separate bank if they had a different tab, wouldn't it?
Well, if you
one
want a
tab.
separate stack, then yeah, it would have to be in a different bank effectively.
Okay.
I see exactly why.
Yeah, it'd be
They
cool
like
to
the
check
idea. It
they
would
would
be
hold
so
more cash.
nice.
all the things you have from
That as
Silver
well.
or whatever. Yeah.
And also they can store more than 2 billion coins. We'll have to give them somewhere else to put those.
We could scour all the whole files for every bank at invent search.
Well, we did introduce platinum, but also a long time ago I wrote some code that would let you store coins in multiples of 1,000 just, well, Nightmare's own coffer in fact does it.
Yeah.
In the original draft it was going to let you store 2 billion times 1,000 coins, but I was persuaded by the tester at the time that that might be a little bit risky, so I didn't do that. But I totally could have done. But now we've got platinum, so you don't need it.
Moving on. Kier asks, at the moment dragon bolts are quite useless for PKing as anti-fires completely negate their effect. Thoughts on buffing the armored crossbow to shoot through anti-fire potions?
Very powerful.
They hit very high numbers, don't they?
The armored crossbow is damn good. The special attack is what sucks on it.
Yeah, I don't think there's really an issue here with. I mean, dragon bolts still have a lot of value, so I'm assuming they're still getting used. And not everyone carries anti-fire.
Yeah.
We
It's a very, very touchy.
Yeah.
I'd prefer it if it didn't negate but reduced it, as in when you go and fight a dragon with an anti-shield.
I mean, we could make it like the same way protection prayers work. There's only a chance that it blocks it.
Okay.
But again, that's still a big sweeping change to something that.
I like Kieran's idea of just the shield compared to the shield and the anti-fire potion.
Yeah.
Kind of like, yeah, that is a very tough one. Certainly wouldn't pass a poll. So let's just move on. Ilu asks, can we expect to see more frequent releases of dragon weapons and armor? There's been talk of a dragon short sword.
Not frequent.
Well, it comes up occasionally, but it would have to have a purpose and somewhere to fit between all the other weapons out there. And
Something to drop it.
yeah, well, we can always think of something for that, probably. But it would need to have a space to fill.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Needs a cool special attack. Needs to fill a gap that we've got, and they're becoming fewer.
Well, yes, as of this morning.
So dragon
As for other
short,
dragon
that sounds cool.
items, dragon kite shield, plate body, armor stuff.
The short sword would have a nice use. I think I had that on the draft for those gemstone dragons drop table.
I saw a comment in the developer's file once about a dragon toothpick and a dragon sponge.
Maz is giggling over there. Was that you, Maz?
No.
Do you know who it was?
Mod John A.
Dragon Maul, that sounds nice. It all sounds
Dragon
nice.
Maul,
Peak
ooh.
hair. All right. Let's see here.
Z.
Mickey asks, can we get some kind of hell rat boss that drops more spice? This place is also to get spice.
And you fight it in the same way as you do in the quest when you fight a big rat.
tempted.
I think we
Giant
all
hell
agree.
rat.
I think we should do something with the spice because it's so
Gathering that spice
frustrating
is
getting those
so-
spices.
I don't
can't
think
stand it.
I don't think when that was written they were intended to be that useful as
Yeah.
level boosters.
Well, they certainly stood the test of time. But given how many giant rats there are in RuneScape, having a giant hell rat seems entirely fine by me. Although sending your little kitten against it might be considered mean. And apparently we've been
Maybe
accused
do
of a
it.
lot of things that are mean involving cats today.
Maybe you can use a
I
boss
think rats, you're allowed to be mean too.
You can only use wily cats.
Don't quote me on that.
no, boss
That'll
pets.
be of use for them.
Yeah.
Because it's that will take them to the rat pit. Yeah.
Okay. So is this actually a good idea, or are we just joking?
No, I
Not-
do like the idea of a giant hell rat.
I like the idea
I
of
certainly
making
like
spices
the
easier
idea
to
of
collect.
making spices easier to collect, and if
Yes.
that's a way of doing it,
Okay.
it's also plausible. So
Yeah.
There's
Cool.
value in the concept.
because they're really cool as stat boosts because they're not feasible to use all the time. They're feasible to use for like one-offs. So I think there's room for content there, to be honest.
Yeah. And there's plenty of room for Evil Dave to have a bigger dungeon.
Okay. Devalues my cat.
It's
It's
the
fine, you can-
basement of doom.
You can trade
Oh, yes.
trade it in for 100 death runes.
Well, he can always expand into his basement of ultimate doom.
Yes.
Kay
Oh,
asks.
Doom room.
It's got Doom 95 on this.
Yeah. Did you hear about that actually? Talk about Doom. The guy who, the guy who
they're
made
making
the
a new
original
level,
Doom
yeah.
has released a brand new level for the original Doom, which was quite exciting.
Write that down.
It's on Dropbox.
A
Anyway,
new doom level.
yeah.
Right.
Carrying on.
Carrying on.
Yeah.
my
Kay
evening
asks, do you have any plans for Old School's third birthday next month?
Yes.
Next month.
Yes.
Sorry.
I was writing it today actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nothing we want to share yet?
No, because it needs some work.
Okay. You mean it's so epic that you don't want to tell them yet?
Yeah.
Speaking of epic, the Monkey Madness 2 design's coming along very well.
Oh yeah,
We
we
have some mega spoilers.
That
Let's,
was
Oh,
let's
I
not
can't
spoil
wait.
that one. I'd like that to be, I'm sure they agree and you agree.
we won't be spoiling it.
As blind as possible when doing that quest.
Yeah.
Because a quest without a quest guide is dreadful,
Yes.
but fun.
Shall we do a straw poll on would you vote for Monkey Madness 2 with absolutely no info?
apart from rewards.
Apart from rewards, yeah.
Yeah?
Should we also answer Anvia's question about when Monkey Madness 2 might be coming out?
Yeah. Mayish.
Nayish.
Mayish.
Very good. Just drop one in the chat for you very shortly. Would you like to know just about nothing on Monkey Madness 2 aside from the rewards? There's the yeses. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's exactly
good.
what we hope for.
A giant plea for ignorance. I like it.
We don't exactly want to tell you the plot line before we release the quest, so...
Well, there's some mad monkeys in it. At least 2.
Actually, we need to involve more monkeys in Monkey Madness 2.
So now we've got one monkey at least.
Yeah.
One mad monkey meets another mad monkey.
There aren't that many mad monkeys in the first one,
No,
unless you count Dugapole.
In terms of key characters, there is only one monkey. So far, it's very early concept.
Oh my
it's-
god, I can't believe you just spoiled the whole quest.
Yeah, I'm not playing it now.
Well, as feedback goes,
You're
needs
ruining the
more
law.
Moth.
Dead content.
Game's over.
Alright.
We did get a bit carried away earlier with some of the
I don't
ideas
think
we had. No, but before you came into the room, we went like full Michael Bay.
Okay.
Oh god.
Let you guys vote on that. Next question then. Viper asks, can the Quest Cape perk let us pick which bosses we can access in Nightmare Zone? Actually, quite a few requests for this lately.
I'd rather like to make that kind of menu available, perhaps without the whole quest cape requirement, but
Yeah.
with some kind of requirements.
Okay.
Just maybe not quite such a big one.
Yeah, that's
Let them choose which bosses they're
something we
fighting.
can stick on one of the upcoming polls, I think.
It does rather help that when we first wrote Nightmare Zone, we didn't have an interface editor tool, so that's why the interfaces looked a little
Wow.
bit kind of cobbled.
You did well.
Thank you.
It's amazing, isn't it?
The swishy thing that comes across the top of the screen was actually quite easy to do, but the menus, they were a pain. So we can now do a much more elaborate menus now than we could at the time.
Got some kind of mixed answers here for the Monkey Madness 2 question. Don't tell me anything has about 47%. Tell me everything has 29% now. Don't tell me anything at all.
So the first one's don't tell me anything except
So don't even
rewards.
tell me the rewards. 24%.
I'm thinking we should probably
Yeah.
tell them the rewards.
We will
Let's
tell
group
you
the
the
first two.
Yeah.
Sorry, the first and third.
It's up to what, 60,
giving
60
us,
71%, doesn't it?
71%, yeah.
Not least which is that any reward we want to give might actually matter to them what it is and whether they want it in the game.
I imagine we would be able to give you like the pre-quest summary text, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
I keep that as like.
We'll reveal like some info on what the quest is going to be about, but no real key
Well,
information.
we've done this 3 times with holiday events, Easter, Halloween, Christmas. We always said what the premise was, and
Yeah.
in this case the premise is fairly intuitive. Like, it follows the events of Monkey Madness, which, if you can remember them, lead to a storyline that's never been continued yet. So
Actually, maybe as before the quest, we could do like a recap of.
that would be a good idea.
yes, I think
We
so.
could maybe dig out the video of Kieran doing it at Runefest,
doing whatever interest.
telling the story of Monkey Madness.
Ah,
I've
okay.
forgotten it. What else did you do at Runefest?
That other video.
We
Jad
talked about Monkey Madness too.
Alfie talked about Jed too.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. We've got time for a couple more questions here. SK Dude Man, can the new task? Oh, here you go, Ash. Can the new task on the Wyvern area allow cannons?
It could.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Thing is, with there being more wyverns in the task-only area than outside it, I'd hope that there's a bit less traffic in the area outside it than there was before, because anyone who's on a task doesn't have to be there, which will hopefully free up a little bit more scope for you to use a cannon down below than you could before.
The whole idea of the area was to try and allow people to always have a place to go and kill their wyverns when they're on task, and if 2 people can go in there with a cannon and take all 14 spawns, it's probably not going to achieve what we hoped for it to do.
Just for the hell of us addressing this, somebody says, is there double XP happening right now? No, we don't ever do double XP. We probably never will.
No.
Those streams that you see impersonating us of a pre-recording of us with like text saying click the link below, don't click that link, don't go to that stream.
Just
And
report it.
Yeah. Report the stream. We'll get taken down.
Next question. Droid.
Report it to Twitch, by the way. They're the people who could take it down.
Yes.
Right.
Carry on.
Droid asks, how's the necromancy spellbook progressing since the past poll?
Jed started on it today, I think.
Yeah? Saw the icons, they look really good.
Yeah, they're looking really nice. So Mudjed's working on the teleports. Modmaz is planning to work on the rejuvenate spell for farming patches, and the Zami Wines failed its poll,
What
and
did
that
that end
was
up with?
something we'll probably end up repolling.
60-something, I think, wasn't it?
I think with a higher,
roughly around there.
higher mage level, maybe more info on the runes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does need a higher mage level.
And then possibly, I mean, we had just discussed the idea of the teleport tabs, maybe at some point as well,
Yeah.
for a future poll.
So, a couple of weeks. To hopefully be out.
Right. Wavy asks, will we ever be able to fully customize our max capes?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be possible. Whether it's worthwhile doing, it's another question entirely.
In like 3 or 4 years' time, when a lot of you have max capes, it might be value in exploring that.
Yeah,
But at the minute, it takes a lot of Ian's time.
indeed.
Yeah, in RS3 they've got the ability to define an object and then dynamically change textures, colours, while it's still the same object. Now we don't have that, so if we want to make a different coloured version of something, we have to make a new object. And if you wanted, 50 different colours, and that's a small number of colours, by the way, for a decent palette, and any number of shapes and any number of textures to go with it, etc., that would multiply up to an insanely large number of capes, and then there'd come along another update and we need a toggle for that as well, and it keeps multiplying every time. I think in RS3 at one point they discovered they'd got several hundred versions of the Slayer helm, just from all the things you might or might not have done to it.
They do.
Yeah.
And they're trying to clean it up.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. So to try and avoid getting the max cape into that sort of situation, which would mean we'd pretty much never be able to do any development around it at all, which you don't really want, we probably shouldn't try and do too much in the way of customising its cosmetic behaviour unless we had the things in RS3's engine that let us
I
just
also
change the
like
same item.
I also like the fact it represents what cape you've got inside it.
That's true,
What cut you've
yeah.
combined with it. So you've got the different colour set up for the fire cape, the god capes, and the Ava's
It's very true.
accumulator.
It's
And then you've got the
recognisable.
unique one for non-combination, which offers you all the skill benefits.
It's very important that we keep everything as recognizable as possible.
Yeah.
Even for that.
And any
sake.
future capes, like what we were going to intend with the best in slot capes from the Inferno, there was that they would also be combinable with the max cape, and hence you would get another 3 colours there.
Just to address people saying 3 to 4 years, LMAO, that's too long.
Yeah, it was just
The
a
game is only nearly 3 years old now, and
Yeah.
we've got how many max players?
Just
So
about
let's say it
200
doubles,
or
even
something,
triples
yeah.
by that time. That's still not a ton of people that will be affected by this update.
And there's new
compared
players
to
coming in
anything
all the
else.
time.
That's less people than Iron Man by a long, 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 long way.
That's also the reason why we haven't been that interested in adding a max people only world for the moment, because with only a couple of hundred of them in the game at all, they don't really need a custom server.
Mind you, it would get them away from everybody else. Wait. Sorry.
Can
Coming in
always find
hot.
you on Twitter, mate.
All right. That's the last question I have here. Liam asks, can we have the ability to change the color of default boots like pre-EOC?
Like Ursa's shoe shop in Relica.
Yes.
She offers this.
yeah, that exists. Go to see Elsa in Relica.
How many different colors do we offer?
6, I think.
Really? Okay. So it's just like a light brown and
You can get your fake
Brown.
Ranger boots.
There's a shade of grey.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Shade of grey.
What we should do, though, is let them change the shape, because when you create your account, you get the choice of 2 shapes of foot, and I don't think there's any way of changing your foot shape unless POH has it somewhere.
Like really flat and sharp, or like short and stubby.
Yes, one of them's called basic and the other's called boot.
Surely that makes sense because you've created your character, you've defined what size your feet are, and short of a freak accident, that's not going to change.
We have a makeover mate.
Whereas there's
John.
no way whatsoever of taking your van braces off your wrist, as far as I can
That's
remember.
fair.
Yeah.
For a small matter of 3,000 coins, you can change gender.
Magic is a wonderful thing.
So changing the length of your foot is probably not the biggest task for such a mage.
All right, I'm going to sit down and be quiet.
Okay. That being said, the Q&A has now come to a close. Any final words?
I'll see you guys in 3 weeks,
Yes. Ash will not be here next Q&A.
or the one
Don't
after.
freak out.
There's still going to be spam. It's like, oh, where's Ash? Why you killed
so-
Ash?
Just be one forlorn
Well,
mug.
we
with
always
possibly one
say,
of you
like-
drinking out of it.
I always say, like, Ash isn't with us here today, and they're like, he's died! You've killed him! Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
I won't.